The best of money matters. Right Business.
Welcome to The Right Business, where we dive deep into the stories of trailblazers who dare to disrupt the status quo, find the gap in the market to find the right business. Hello, I'm Hongbin Jeong. Mushrooms are one of nature's most versatile and sustainable food sources, packed with nutrients, rich in flavor, and surprisingly resilient. But despite their potential, gourmet mushrooms remain an underexplored category in Southeast Asia's food ecosystem. That's something Ryan Ong set out to change. From growing mushrooms in his own home using food waste to building Singapore's largest indoor mushroom farm, Ryan is on a mission to make mushrooms a staple in our kitchens and a powerful solution for food sustainability. Through Fogo Fungi, he's combining technology, circular farming, and education to reshape how we grow and consume food in an urban, land-scarce city. And to share more about why a business like Fogo Fungi matters in a place like Singapore, joining us today is Ryan Ong, founder of Fogo Fungi. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me, Hongbin. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, Ryan, let's go back to when it all started. You were growing mushrooms in your own home using waste materials. Why did you decide to grow mushrooms in the first place? And not just any mushrooms, but using waste materials. How does that work?
So it all started in early 2022.
Okay.
I watched a YouTube video about mushrooms, and I grew incredibly fascinated by their purpose, and not just in food, but in medicine, bioremediation, and in nature. Back then, because we were just exiting or starting to recover from the pandemic, the Singapore government was talking a lot about food security. So I kind of saw a business opportunity intersecting with my newfound passion.
Okay.
To be honest, the waste materials, growing with waste materials, that come a little bit later. It was only after I started to really understand mushroom biology, I realized that their role in nature as nature's recyclers allows them to thrive on waste. So we started to introduce waste such as coffee grounds that we would otherwise throw away and feed it to the mushroom as a food source.
Oh, that's very interesting. I mean, you've mentioned before that you saw a clear gap in the region where it came to mushroom farming. What specific gap did you notice in the food or agriculture space here in Singapore? What was lacking?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that Singapore imports over 90% of our own food. So there's definitely a need for our own food resilience and by growing food locally. The next thing was in particular with gourmet mushrooms. So with most food having to be imported either by ship or by air, gourmet mushrooms happen to be the subcategory that's a little challenging to import. Reason being, their short shelf life. So this whole shipping problem is kind of complex. It doesn't allow for fresh gourmet mushrooms to be brought into Singapore. And at that point in time when I started, traditional mushroom farms weren't really growing a wide variety of gourmet mushrooms. So I saw that gourmet mushrooms were trending in the US, all over Europe, and I thought that, it's going to be an interesting produce to grow for Singaporeans.
Right, definitely interesting. So how did Fogo Fungi go from a home experiment to a full-fledged company? Were there any turning points that made you, hey, I think I should do this as a business, I want to share it with everyone else?
Yeah, I think since day one, I always knew that I wanted to turn this into a business.
Okay.
I graduated from Singapore Management University with a business management degree and was always interested in entrepreneurship. The mindset was more of, if not now, then when? So I started in the bedroom because of lack of resources. I started to master the craft of growing mushrooms, and then eventually, once I felt I was ready, I went ahead to rent a warehouse where our indoor farm currently sits at.
Amazing. And now it's Singapore's largest indoor mushroom farm, and you're growing mushrooms sustainably without pesticides and also using food waste here. So could you walk us through what makes your cultivation process different from traditional farms? What's the secret sauce behind your proprietary tech?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's three things that really makes us different. Firstly, we cultivate the mushroom mycelium in our own lab. Mycelium being the roots of the mushroom. So by cultivating the mushroom mycelium in our own lab, it allows us to really select the strongest genetics that are perfect for commercial growing. The next thing we do is we prepare our own substrate, which is the food for the mushrooms. So that's when we use a wood-based substrate. We supplement it with seed hulls, coffee grounds, and really the idea is to give the right nutrients for the mushrooms to thrive on. The third thing that we do that differs from traditional farm is we cultivate using climate-controlled indoor growing technology. This allows us to replicate the mushroom's natural growing environment as close as it can be. It's low temperatures, think high humidity, and lots of oxygen. And that's something that traditional farms are not able to control. When you grow mushrooms traditionally, you're really depending on the weather conditions and stuff that you can't control. So there's lack of consistency, there's certain varieties that you can't grow.
Right. And as you mentioned earlier, you're using waste from timber and food industries, which sounds like a win-win for food production and sustainability. How exactly do you transform these materials into mushroom growing media?
Yeah, so the way we do it is we take in these waste materials, wood waste, seed hulls, coffee grounds. We mix it up all together to a desired consistency, and then we balance the pH levels, the moisture levels, and then we sterilize it. So it's important to sterilize this substrate, which is meant to be the food for the mushrooms, simply because we want to remove all kinds of existing bacteria, competitor fungi that might affect with the mushroom growing process. Once that's sterilized, we then introduce the mushroom mycelium, sort of like planting the seeds of the mushrooms into the substrate. And after that, you wait a few weeks and mushrooms magically grow out of it.
Oh, interesting. But what happens to the waste after harvesting? I understand you've also found a way to return it back to the land. So how does that work?
So the way it works is, I think it's important for everyone to understand mushrooms' role in nature. When you're in the forest and fruit drops on the floor or trees die, what happens first is that fungi comes in to break down and decompose these organic materials, and then providing it as a food source to insects, to plants, and other organisms. So at the end of the mushroom growing cultivation process, what happens is we are left with this waste material called spent mushroom substrate. Right now, what we do with it, we give a huge portion of it to a farm, local vegetable farm, and they take in this material, they compost it, and they use it as food fertilizer for growing vegetables. We also give this spent mushroom substrate to researchers, schools, students, for their own research purpose or just to play with it.
Oh, wow. And you've built a circular system and a scaled production, but you've also taken the time to educate the public from workshops to your DIY grow kits. And you've brought a DIY grow kit here in the studio. What is it? What does it entail? What is inside? Is it easy to make? What goes on?
Yeah. So this mushroom grow kit is a really fun activity for, I think, all ages. It allows you to grow fresh gourmet mushrooms from the comfort of your own home.
Okay.
Instructions are provided on the back of the grow kit box, and all you have to do is really, to activate the grow kit, you have to open it and then mist it with water, which provides high humidity, which is like the perfect growing conditions that mushrooms kind of enjoy. Within 7 to 10 days, you have a fresh harvest of gourmet mushrooms from your own house, and you can harvest it and eat it and continue to grow.
Okay.
Education has always been important to us, I think, because Singaporeans are growing increasingly curious about nature, about where their food comes from. So by educating Singaporeans and schools through our grow kits, through workshops, through presentations, it allows them to have a better understanding of mushrooms, have a better understanding of our local farming scene. I mean, when I first started, I never knew that there were so many local farms in Singapore.
Right. I mean, this is also a hands-on experience so people can actually really learn about how mushrooms grow.
Exactly.
But I'm wondering, how exactly does it taste?
Well, right now with the mushroom grow kits, I brought you the pink oyster mushroom.
Okay.
It's one of our really popular mushrooms. It's bright red, pinkish in color.
Oh.
This one particularly has a bacon-like flavor.
Bacon-like flavor. You've got me listening. Okay.
Yeah, it tastes like turkey ham. We have mushrooms that we grow in our farm with all sorts of shapes, sizes, colors. Another popular one that we have at the farm is lion's mane mushroom. That one is said to have a steak-like or crab lobster-like texture with a mild seafood flavor.
Oh, wow. Those are very interesting mushrooms that I didn't know that had different kind of taste here, including bacon. How has the response been from the public and local community then? Are more people becoming curious about growing their own food?
Well, we are very grateful for the overwhelming support from the public. Whenever we attend farmers markets, we end up selling out these grow kits. But primarily our business is in selling fresh gourmet mushrooms to hotels, restaurants, and top chefs. And you know, it's fantastic. I've really enjoyed being able to work with 5-star hotels, Michelin restaurants, and using the product. I think those chefs who are aware of mushrooms, they enjoy it for the different flavors and varieties that we have. But for those chefs that are, maybe this is a new product to them, it takes a little bit of education as well, explaining to them that this is all organic, it's all edible, it's not poisonous. Yeah, we're starting to really see gourmet mushrooms pick up in Singapore.
Very interesting. Well, speaking of which then, how do you see Fogo Fungi contributing to a more, self-sufficient food future here in Singapore?
For me, I think as a young farmer entering the industry, my main goal would be to really be part of the solution to grow a more food resilient Singapore. And at the same time, I think the awareness, spreading that awareness about local farms, how local food is better than imported produce. That's what I'm trying to do, and hopefully inspire the next batch, the next generation of young farmers to come in and shake up the industry.
Amazing. Well, before we let you go here, Ryan, what's next for Fogo Fungi? Any new mushrooms in store or, expansion plans that you can share?
Yeah, definitely, Hongbin. As we're live right now, I'm working on tendering for a new plot of farmland to really scale up production. And in doing so, we hope to bring down prices, enter supermarkets such as FairPrice, Cold Storage, Sheng Siong. And with new varieties, it's something that we are always working on. We're trying to bring in always more colorful, more exciting varieties, especially whatever the chefs are asking me for. So stay tuned.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That was Ryan Ong, founder of Fogo Fungi. This has been The Right Business with me, Hongbin Jeong.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.